What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and today we have episode 127. And my friends, we always, every week have some things to discuss. I know I say that every week, but there's always something going on in media. And today we're going to get into something a little bit later that has been the sort of hot topic, I guess. And of course, it always revolves the Browns because this town doesn't know how to talk about anything else in media but the Browns, despite the Cavs being in the playoffs or the Guardians season starting and they're playing pretty decently well. Nobody cares because the Browns are going to go 6-11 again this year. So yeah, man, that's going to be the news today, but that'll be later. We're going to talk about the Cavs. We'll try to speak in some Guardians, but the Guardians are just being the guards. It's still pretty early on in the year. So they're just kind of rolling and just kind of doing their thing. They had a nice win yesterday. I think they had a walk-off as well the day prior. So, they're just doing their thing. They're playing guards ball. It's what they do every year. So it's nice to see them starting off the year on a good note. But before we get into everything, I will go ahead and hand this off to Drew, who is going to go ahead and give us the shout out of a sponsor. And I don't know, man, do we have a sort of play from Greg and the guys this week?
Oh, we do not. They've been kind of busy with a lot of work stuff, so no, unfortunately they do not. But guys, please check out our sponsor, Effortless Wins, for sports betting advice and plays to boost your wins. Talk to Tony or Greg. The links will be in the description of Spotify or in the comment section on YouTube. Code JustBSN26 for a slight discount for the Discord channel. Guys, baseball season is in full swing, and Greg is elite when it comes to baseball knowledge. I mean, just today he had a Yankees hitter, I think it was Randall Grichuk, to get to strike out twice. It was plus 850. Grichuk struck out 3 times today. So he hit a plus 850, just single bet. So that could be you winning that bet. And so Greg does not mess around. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. Even when he's busy with work, he still put out some amazing plays and does the research before he goes to work. So guys, please check them out. Talk to them. These guys know absolutely what they're doing. Tony's great at basketball. Greg is great at baseball. 2 good combo sports right there. Check them out, guys. Talk to them. These guys know what they're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, dude, we say it every week, but they legitimately know what they're doing. It is worth it if you guys are really trying to step up your betting game. So if you guys are interested, the links will be in the comments of the YouTube video, and they will also be in the description in Spotify if you are a Spotify listener. So again, if you are interested in that, check those out. The links to the Discord will be below, and Greg and in company will be able to get you all the information that you need, and you'll be on your way to hitting some good bets. So shout out to the 2 of the boys. We obviously always appreciate them. But yeah, man, the Cavs are getting to the very end of their season. They got a few more games left before the end of the season. They got one, I believe, tomorrow, and then I think they have one on either Saturday or Sunday, which is the last game of the year against Washington. But tomorrow they play the Hawks again after they just beat them last night, barely, after them sort of getting a big lead in the third quarter, slowly losing it, just for them to end up squeaking it out 112-106. And again, guys like Donovan had another big baller game. I mean, he's getting ready for playoffs. This is that mode that Don always likes to start turning right around this time. But he's been having games like this. Like, how many games has he had above like 36 points in the last couple weeks? Like, it's anytime he seems to play, he's going to drop 30. It's very rare that he is not dropping 30 unless the team doesn't need him to. If everybody else is kind of balling or the game's just kind of flowing the way it does. Don's in playoff mode. Harden is getting into playoff mode. He's been pretty consistent throughout. And Ev Mobley, man, dude had 22 points and 19 boards last night. I did not stutter. I know I do that. I have a stutter, but I did not stutter. He had 19 freaking rebounds last night. Really good game onto him. He started the game off really hot, and he kind of got a little bit colder because Donovan took over in the third quarter, as well as Harden. I mean, Harden I think had like three threes in the third. They just had a
Mhm.
huge quarter, and then they slowed way down in the fourth and almost lost it. Um, but yeah, the Cavs are getting ready to end the season. They are a guaranteed lock for at least the top 5 seed. They're still kind of duking it out with Atlanta. Like Atlanta's right here. Um, Before our game, I did not realize that Atlanta has the best record in the NBA since the All-Star break. They're like
Yeah.
19-5 since the All-Star break. So they've been hot, especially since they made that trade to get Kaminga, who has been a baller for them. He has had some big games for them, especially off the bench. And they're young guys. Like they're starting to become that sort of next young team that's gonna build some sort of building blocks, and they could make some real noise. And they took a big gamble getting rid of Trey Young, but I'll tell you what, it's going to pay off with all of the moves that they made and the guys that they brought in. So the Hawks are going to be a fun team. It's going to be a fun test, especially if they do indeed have the fourth or fifth seed, which it looks like it's going to be Cavs 4, Atlanta 5, as long as everything sticks. We'll see if they win tomorrow because honestly, the Cavs are probably going to sit a few of the guys, including Donovan, just to get them prepared for the playoffs. So, Drew, I'm sure you saw the game last night.
Mhm.
A lot of the questions that I keep having about this team is not the ability to score, it's the ability to defend. I'm really hoping that they are just kind of slacking right now because they don't want to show their whole, you know, arsenal now. They want to wait. I'm praying that that's what they're doing because they have a tendency to overcommit and overhelp on a nightly basis. And it's the biggest flaw that they have in their defensive game. I don't know what Kenny is going to cook for that, but I hope they get a chance to actually sit down before the playoffs, go over film and say, we cannot do this. We have to either stick on our guys or find another way to defend that is not going to overcomplicate and make guys overcompensate and over
Mhm.
pursue to give guys free buckets because it happens every single night. It was the reason that the Hawks were able to get into the game last night. It happens every single night. You can outscore a team 140 to 133, but you can't guarantee that you're also going to score 140 points every night. And the
No,
Cavs have been doing that, but they can't rely on that come playoff time. And Kenny has even said that
I was gonna say Kenny's even said that. He goes, "We could score
quite a few
140."
times. He said that actually.
Yeah, saying we could score 140 points, but we can't guarantee we do that every single night. So you got to play defense. And he's probably singled guys out. He's probably called guys out like, "Listen, we got to play better. Like you have to play better. You have to play better. Like we got to do better on defense." And I'm sure they're gonna go over film like, "Listen, guys, we give up number one. We give up way too many threes. We allow too many three balls to drop, and that's a big no no, especially in the postseason.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Memphis game. We allowed a bunch of G League players to drop 55% from three.
Yeah.
Like you can't have that happen because Memphis almost beat you.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the standings right now. As of stands, the Cavs do have the 4 seed locked completely
Okay.
because there's only 2 games left, and the Cavs have uh about 6 more wins than Atlanta.
Okay.
So Cavs are locked for 4 seed now. Atlanta could drop as far as ninth because of those 2 games left. If they lose both and say like
Oh yeah,
Charlotte,
it is really close.
yeah, so they could drop as far back as ninth. So all that right there is really close, from Atlanta to Charlotte. So a lot can
Uh,
happen, and as it stands, the Cavs will play the Atlanta Hawks in the postseason if everything holds.
yeah.
But again, like I said, a lot could change in the next few days because the Cavs play Friday or tomorrow night, and then their last game is on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, actually, because the game's at like 5 o'clock on Sunday or something. It's like 5 or 6 p.m.
Yeah, I can look real quick.
I know it's like a little bit earlier than usual. You
6. Yeah, 6.
6 o'clock. Okay,
Yeah.
because usually it's like a 7 p.m. game. They made it
Yeah.
6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that might be
Yeah.
a game I might attend because Final
Why
home game
not?
of the season. Tickets are probably going to be hella cheap with who's playing and who they're going to have on the floor. So it'd just be a nice night out and just enjoy the night.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
but yeah, I think a lot of these guys are going to sit, especially guys like Thomas Bryant, some of these bench guys, because Thomas Bryant had dealt with an injury in the past couple games. You want him to be fully healthy for the playoffs, especially with a guy who plays with as much physicality as he does. You need that physicality in the postseason, and you need that energy off the bench. Um, Max Struess obviously is going to get a lot of time off because you want him to be fully healthy and knocking down threes. They're starting to give him, instead of 30 minutes, they gave him like 20, like 24 or something in the last
Yep.
game, just to kind of ease him up. And I think that's why we almost lost to win, is because a lot of guys came out early except for Don, just so he can just keep cooking. But like you said, we're gonna sit there. The guys are going to watch film. The guys are going to sit there and get ready for the postseason. They're going to look at their defense. They're going to look at what they need to do better on offense. I think a lot of it is going to be focusing on the defensive side of the ball because, again, the defense has been atrocious as of late, and they've really got to figure it out before the postseason happens. Because if teams get past 120 points in this Cavs defense on average, the Cavs are going to struggle this playoffs.
Oh yeah.
So you got to lock it on defense, and I think Kenny Atkinson is going to make that a big priority during practices and during film sessions, is locking on that defense, and especially on the glass too, because we give up a lot of offensive rebounds. And this is the biggest gripe I've had for a majority of the season, is that we give up way too many second chance opportunities and second chance points.
Yeah.
So that's going to be something that's going to be talked about and locked in as well. So for the Cavs, it's they got to rest up. They got to stay healthy. We haven't been healthy at all this season.
No.
So so we got to stay healthy. The Cavs are going to lock in these last two games. Like we said, Don and all them are probably not going to be playing tomorrow or Sunday. I do think they said if Mobley plays 20 minutes tomorrow, he does qualify for end of the season awards. So I'm sure Mobley will play 20 minutes and then hit the bench. So he can qualify for some of the defensive awards that he's probably going to win, because he is probably one of the better defensive players in the NBA,
No.
which, helps the Cavs quite a bit, but, he's only good at it in the key and in the paint. He's not going to be the best 3-point protector. So that's where other guys have to step up and help him out and be good outside the key defenders. So the Cavs have a lot to do in these next couple of days, because obviously playoffs start next week.
Yeah.
With the play-in and whatnot. So a lot to do in those 2 weeks, working on defense, watching a bunch of film, and we'll see if these boys can lock it in for the postseason and see who we play next.
Yeah. I mean, look, and I think that's the thing that people lose, especially when it comes to when the playoffs start. You get a chance to at least play a team 4 times. Okay. At least. And that's if you sweep them. The Cavs probably won't sweep Atlanta, because Atlanta's going to be scrappy. They're going to be good. I can see it going like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 games because of the way the Cavs can play. But the thing about that is you finally have time to practice. You have time to go over film. And especially when you're starting the playoffs at home, you were able to actually be at home, get into some sort of routine, get your body right, be able to not worry about the traveling aspect yet. Starting out the first 2 games is going to be huge. And they're going to get a little bit of a more extended time to be off in comparison to the teams that are going to be the 7th and the 8th seed, because they got to deal with the play-in tournament for, that week. And then the Cavs will start Friday or, Saturday, whichever day they start. So it's going to help them be able to get back into their routines and be able to make those adjustments. And I think that's the biggest thing that people often don't really understand about the playoffs is you have opportunities to improve and get better. And the Cavs have shown that they can win gritty, playoff games. But last year they were not prepared for what the Pacers were going to give us because of how easy of a series that Heat series was. So I'm actually perfectly fine with the Cavs starting against a team like Atlanta or even Toronto, because for a while it was Toronto. and then all of a sudden Atlanta battled back and they did their thing. Now the Cavs are only a half game back from the Knicks and getting the third seed, so you do wonder if the Cavs are going to honestly kind of uh, intentionally not get that third seed because they probably just want the fourth. Like they are probably cool with starting out getting, a team like the Hawks, and then after that, not worrying about getting to Boston until the Eastern Conference finals. I think they would rather have Detroit first, and that's fine with me too because us, we're not scared of Detroit. Like we're just not scared of Detroit. We've proven that we can beat them. We know that they're good, and we know that they're going to be tough and be really physical. And that's where the Cavs need to prove in this first series that they can be physical, and that's why all eyes are going to be on Evan. All eyes are going to be on Jarrett because even though Jarrett's hurt, you got to get guys that are like you need double doubles from every guy. And as much as we hate Dean Wade, I need him to defend his ass off. Like I need him to make sure that his 6'10" frame is able to play 20 to 25 minutes a night because you're going to need that. Because we even saw it against a team like the Knicks or even Boston and even Detroit. When you have Dean Wade in that lineup, it does help on the defensive end. He doesn't really get to contribute on offense at all, which is all honestly the most frustrating part. But that's where you can bring guys like Strus and Keon Ellis, Merrill, and Schroeder, who has been playing better. He has a pretty rough games over the last few months, but Schroeder has actually been playing some better ball. He's been a little bit more consistent. I just want him to worry about driving to the rack and less about trying to shoot threes or even shoot mid jumpers. I don't need that from Schroeder. I just need him to attack and be that gritty little 6'1" kid that everybody used to hate playing. That's what I need him to be.
No, I completely agree. Like Schroeder is a phenomenal player. Again, offensively, defensively, he's a good player. I just think you need him to, like you said, start attacking the basket a lot more than he has instead of taking jumpers.
Yeah.
And, I don't mind Keon Ellis taking jumpers because usually he's open when he does get chances.
His corner threes have been solid.
His corner threes have been really good and very underrated. So, again, that's another thing we can kind of use and utilize in the postseason is his corner threes. As well, obviously, as Max Strus, because Max Strus has been playing really well ever since he's gotten back. And obviously Donovan and James Harden, I'm not even worried about those two because those guys are just ballers in their own right. My whole thought too is I kind of pray to God that Jared Allen continues the way he's been playing.
Yeah,
Jared Allen has been phenomenal ever since James Harden has come to the team.
I was going to say that's going to help.
Because even when you mentioned, Evan Mobley having a 22 and 16 game or what an 18 game
19,
yeah, 22 and 19 game
almost a 2020.
Yeah, Jared Allen had, I think it was 19 and like 10 or something as well. So
he had like 8 rebounds I think last night.
Okay, so he's close.
Yeah,
I knew he was around the cusp, but again, like when you have both of those guys getting over 10 boards and 20 points apiece, that's what you need. That's what we've been wanting out of these two. Like we've been needing, and Jared Allen went to the line 11 times last night, and Evan Mobley 8 times or 9 times.
Evan just has to hit his free throws, man. That's like he better be taking 200 every day, 200 at practice minimum.
And I would be, if I was Kenny, I'd be like, listen, during this practice, before you guys leave, 200, like 100 free throws or 200 free throws.
Everybody.
Like,
I don't care. I don't care if you're shooting 95%. From the free throw line, take 100.
Yeah, because we need those. Because we've been missing quite a bit of free throws this year, and they have costed us quite a bit in some of these games. And I just brought up the bracket because this is what it looks like as of right now with how everything is seated. So with the Cavs, they'll play the Hawks, and then we'll play the Pistons afterwards. I do know what you said because actually Knicks and Boston are playing right now as we speak. And so if the Knicks lose and say like the Cavs win, then the Cavs are tied with the Knicks for third. And that could cause concerns for at least Cavs fans because
Yeah.
I know the Cavs don't want to see the Celtics early on. We don't want to see them until the ECF. But as it stands right now, the Cavs are going to be playing the Hawks, which I kind of hope it's not so much the Hawks because the Hawks have been playing really good ball lately. I would rather maybe see like the Raptors
Hmm.
or any of the other teams that we see on the list. But I'm fine with because I think the Cavs have beaten the Hawks in all the games they played so far this season.
The
I
reason
I've
why
done
I'm cool with the Hawks is because they have no playoff experience. Like they're
yeah.
so young that I would still rather play them than even play the Raptors or even play the Magic. Like I don't want anything to do with Orlando. I don't want Orlando to get
No,
first rounded.
I don't want anything to do with Orlando
They
either.
piss me off every time we play them. They piss me off. I don't, and we can sweep them. Like we have the ability to sweep Magic, but they are so gritty.
I
And
just
Palo always has our number, man. It's really hard to beat that team.
I kind of hope they win against the Sixers, so they have to play the Celtics to start,
Yeah, exactly.
and
That's
so they
what I'm
either
up.
get and it's either they get knocked out or they're the team that knocks out the Celtics, and we don't have to see the Celtics at all in this postseason
Yeah.
because I know the Magic are a team that could absolutely beat Boston with their grittiness and their physicality.
And that's probably going to happen because Embiid just got appendicitis today, so he's going to be out for probably at least a good week or two.
Yeah, and I don't know if it shows it here. Oh yeah, so SoFi Play Tournament starts on this 14th through the
Mhm.
17th.
Okay,
So
and then playoffs
it
start on the 18th. Okay,
yeah, so it starts Tuesday, the play-in tournament.
yeah,
Um,
that sounds right then. Okay,
yeah, then the 18th is next Saturday. So
okay,
we'll have the playoffs starting then. But yeah, I hope the Magic kind of beat the Sixers so they could be the team that matches up with Boston because like I said, I believe the Magic are a team that could just frustrate the heck out of Boston and give them a lot of trouble. And if so, then Boston's got to play the Knicks still, and so that would double frustrate the Celtics because it's like, God, man, we got to play the Knicks and the Magic, two kind of like irritable teams, and
yeah,
the Cavs. We're like, listen, for some reason we know how to beat the Knicks, and at least this year we've known how to beat the
yeah.
Knicks. And so that's a more favorable matchup. It's like, okay, we have the Knicks number this season, unlike previous years.
Boston's the only team that I really am like concerned with in the East. I think for
Yeah.
the Cavs,
And like we could beat Boston because
they can.
again, we've been hurt all season long. So we have yet to play Boston at our healthiest.
Hmm.
Um and the only player they were really missing the entire season was Jason Tatum.
Hmm.
So it's not like, they were severely injured all season long like we were. At those times we were missing Mobley and Allen here and there. At that time, we were still missing obviously Max Strus. We were missing Merrill at times. We were missing a whole load of guys at times, and
Yeah,
and we played Boston well before we even made the James Harden trade, before we made the Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis trades. So they have yet to see those guys either.
yeah,
So there is a uniqueness to the Cavs now where it's like, dude, we could play the Celtics and not even be like we could be ultra competitive before the last few years because again last year we started Marcus Morris and so it's like
yeah,
that roster was horrible and we knew we were going to get beat and then the years before that obviously we had JB Bickerstaff
yeah.
and it's like we knew we were going to beat the Celtics with JB and I feel a little bit more confident in the Cavs this year with James Harden and Donovan Mitchell. And the hell, I mean, if we can get Giannis and LeBron in the offseason, I mean, it's wraps for next season. But at this point in time, I'd rather face the Knicks and the Eastern Conference Finals, but I'd rather stay where we are as the 4 seed and play a team like Atlanta or and play the Pistons
Yep.
because I'm very confident in us to beat the Hawks and obviously we've beaten the Pistons pretty much every game this
No.
season except for like one game. So I'm not too worried about Detroit. I'm not really overly worried about Atlanta. I looked at the head to head against Atlanta. The Cavs are 2-1 in the head to head. We won game one, 117 to 109. We lost game two, 130 to 123. But I think we were missing a bunch of guys because both of those games were in November.
Yeah.
And then obviously the other night we
Yeah.
beat them. So I'm not I'm not overly worried about Atlanta. It's just the thing that worries me the most about this entire playoffs is just the health of the team. That's the only thing that scares me is the health.
Yeah, I mean that's easily the biggest threat is the Boston Celtics. They are the team that I'm honestly most afraid of. I think teams that I'm least afraid of, dude. I'm not scared of Toronto.
No.
I'm not. I'm not freaked out by Atlanta because again, I think once it comes to playoff time, like yeah, they'll be scrappy, yeah, they'll be fun, but they don't have a lot of experience, and playoff
Mm-mm.
experience matters. I mean, we saw that in Donovan's first year here, how badly we got beat by New York, and we were supposed to be the favorite. And then last year, you go into it, and you really don't have a great time. Um, or even that first year, or no, that was year two when we had uh, the Magic in round one, and we took them. They took us to 7 freaking games, and they had no business being that. And that could very well happen with a team like Atlanta, because Atlanta does remind me a little bit of how Orlando is built right now. They're young, they have good size, they have good shooting, and they just got guys that just kind of fit the molds that a team like that needs. But I mean, dude, the biggest difference between this year and the previous years, James Harden. I mean, people don't understand how much of an X factor he is. But the one last guy that I did want to talk about before we move on is Jalen Tyson. So he's been out for probably the last few weeks to a month with a similar injury that Darius had,
Yeah.
and he is a guy that I do wonder, like, if he gets healthy for the playoffs, how much he is involved in the rotation after all of this time off, because he's been a big time player for us all year long. Like, he has had some monster games, he's had some big moments. He's been one of our most consistent 3-point shooters. Um, and he's just a scrappy young kid who has some size at the wing. Um, he can defend, he can play make, he can get to his own shot, or he can just spot up and be like a Max Strus. Like he has that ability to kind of do all of that. He's what you wanted a Coro to be, just not quite as athletic as a Coro was. But he's exactly what you wanted out of a Coro.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder, like, is Kenny going to give him a chance to move back into the lineup a little bit, or is this just kind of be a, because right now the current 9-man rotation that we used last night, obviously the starting five was Dean Wade, Allen, Mobley, Harden, and Mitchell, and off the bench it was Schroeder, Strus, Merrill, and Keon Ellis. All of those guys are not above 6'6", so there's zero size there coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And even if you bring Wade off the bench, that is your only size right now because you don't have Bryant, and you're not really playing, Larry Nance, who, by the way, actually has had some pretty good games over the last week or so when he's gotten minutes. Larry Nance has actually been kind of fun, but you're not going to see Tomlin getting a bunch of minutes in the playoffs. You could see Porter Jr. get a couple minutes just to kind of give guys some breaks, or it's just a matchup that's a little bit better because of his size and his ability to play make and defend and rebound. But where does Jalen Tyson fit in that? And I'm very, and even same with Thomas Bryant, like, where exactly is he gonna fit in the rotation, and how deep is Kenny willing to go in the playoffs? Because normally a playoff team isn't going to go any more than like 9 guys deep, and that's being friendly. Most teams go like 7 to 8 deep. Last year, the Lakers were like a 7-man rotation. Playoff time, your starters are playing 35 to 40 minutes a night, and it tends to burn you out. But that's the reality of the playoffs. You want your best guys on the floor for as long as they can, and the way that you move everybody in and out is going to be crucial. That was one of the things that we hated about JV was his freaking rotations were so bad. He didn't know how to play with certain players. He didn't understand that certain players play with other guys better than the current lineup that they had. So Kenny has a unique job to do here. And I'm just curious, like in your mind, like, A, do you have to find a way to get Jalen Tyson on the court? And if so, how much time do you need? Like, does he need a 15-minute, minute a night game? Or do you need more? Do you need him to start? Like, where do you want a guy like that to be in this playoff rotation? And how deep do they really have to go?
Yeah, I would say first and foremost, I did look at Jalen Tyson, and he is listed as a game time decision
Yeah.
tomorrow. So that's the positive news is that he should be ready to go for the postseason. Um, the next thing is I would say the Cavs run maybe an 8-9 man rotation because I think they want as many guys as possible, especially off the bench. Because again, with the health of the Cavs right now, you're going to need as many guys off the bench as you possibly can, at least one in every position. And I do think with how important Jalen Tyson has been all season, he's shooting 45.5% from three all season long. That's very important for this team because he's more of a big 3-point shooter than people realize
Yeah.
that we need right now. And he's also, again, he's aggressive, plays aggressive defense, plays aggressively on offense. He's not afraid of anything. So he's a kid I would love to see on the floor. I do think you bring him along. I think he gets 20 minutes per night off the bench in the
Yeah.
playoffs, at least 20 to 24-ish minutes, because people don't understand how much of a boost this guy really is when he's on the floor.
Yeah.
And we talked about. I do think he gets. I would say I would put him ahead of Dean Wade off the bench because first and foremost, I think Max Strus will start in the postseason over Dean Wade because I think you're gonna run. If I had to completely guess, like what a starting five would look like for the Cavs, it would most likely be Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, and I would go with Max Strus instead of Dean Wade.
Yeah,
Because
I'm not opposed to that. The only counter that I'm gonna have here is I almost prefer Struce's scoring ability off the bench a little bit more
yeah,
than what Wade's gonna give because we know what he's gonna give off of on the offensive side. It's not gonna be more than like 8
and
points.
that's the thing too is you could save Max Strus off the bench, and you know what? I wouldn't mind the bench coming out be Schroeder, Keon Ellis, Max Strus. I thought I said Strus twice. I said Schroeder. It's a combo. Schroeder, Ellis, Strus, Bryant, and Tyson as kind of like your major like backups. Because again, Thomas Bryant, I would like another big man in there,
Yeah, I do
especially
too.
especially with how good he is aggressively and defensively and offensively. Like he's just like what pissed me off about the Pacers last year was the physicality, and he was the
100%.
head and he was the head of that physicality. So I want that on the roster because that's something we've been missing for years is that physicality.
Yeah.
Jalen Tyson's aggressiveness to attack the basket and also take shots that you don't think he could take, and he makes them.
Yeah.
Strus, obviously a massive 3-point threat. You need that 3-point
Yeah.
threat. Ellis, again, one of the best defenders in the game. Schroeder, again, a very top tier defenseman and just an overall leader off the bench for many teams over the course of his career, and just a good vet to have. And I know that leaves out guys like Sam Merrill, who could be a key shooter
I was
as
about to say
well.
Merrill has to be in the rotation. There's no way you keep him out of that. He's been
No,
good on both sides of the ball. and he's been getting better at getting to the rim like Strus has. I mean, he's starting to open up his arsenal a little bit more and be less about just being a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, I hear you, and it's so tough when these playoffs because again you have to shorten rosters, so it's hard to take and leave off some guys. It just questions me who they're gonna kind of leave out
Yeah, that's the
Be-
tough part.
because again, and I know again Dean Wade's a good vet, but if you need scoring and defense, Sam Merrill's both again.
Hmm.
And I could see like, yeah, you need size, but I could also see like the Cavs running kind of like the small because again, a lot of their small guys like Sam Merrill is a bucket. Especially, I tell you what, Sam Merrill's an underrated guy who could drive to the basket and score.
Yeah.
And Dean Wade, he's just not effective enough for me. I mean, looking at he had for his first game back, he did well. He had 8 points. He was 3 or 4, 2 for 3 from three. But again, 4 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block. So his defense, again, I'm not questioning his defense. I'm not questioning a lot of that. But in about the same amount of time, Sam Merrill just did the exact same.
Well,
With 2 less rebounds and the same amount of assists. So, I mean, Sam Merrill's just as effective as Dean Wade is. Dean Wade just has size.
yeah.
That's really the only reason why you keep Dean Wade around is because of his sheer size.
Yeah.
So it's I think Kenny has a tough job to do, but I think if anyone knows how to get the most out of this rotation, it's Kenny.
Yeah, I mean that is a fair point. Um it's a tough job. Like this is going to be a very unique spot for him to be in. And I just hope that he doesn't feel obligated to only play a specific amount of guys. Like I hope that he looks at his roster and says, "You know what? I like, you know, like I want to be able to use 10 guys."
Hmm.
Okay, then you make that decision. Or if you really want to open it up and have it be more than 10 guys, then do it, dude. Like there's nobody, not a damn person that is stopping you from being able to do that. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. For me, like I just hope that he makes the right decisions. And I think it could come down to potentially game to game. Like, I think
Hmm.
game to game, you're going to see some various lineups, especially in that first series. And then from there on, you're playing matchups and you're playing, um, guys that are just doing better against those teams than who you would typically start, or you start them, but you still have, one more guy play 20 more minutes than he usually would because he's just a better overall matchup
Yeah.
than the guy that is in front of him. Like that's what is beautiful about the playoffs too. Is you can get creative and listen, Kenny has had to be creative all year long, so I don't doubt his ability to make a good lineup. It's just I don't want to see a lineup where Keon Ellis is our power forward. Like I just don't need we don't need lineups like that. And as long as guys stay healthy in our front court, we will be fine. But that is going to be the biggest uh complaint potentially, and it's going to be a rough one. But I'm still excited about the Cavs. I'm
Me
still
too.
excited about this playoff run because, again, when you look at having a guy like James Harden, like a guy who can literally turn it on just as hot and just as quickly as Donovan can, it takes a load off of Donovan, but he still lets Donovan be Don. Like he still lets Donovan say, "Hey, if I'm in the zone, or if Donovan wants to set the tone like he did in that third quarter. Like he came out immediately and was just in attack mode. And I'm like, that's playoff Donovan. Like that's the guy that's gonna just show up every single time, and it's up to everybody else to follow suit. But my one complaint about Donovan before we move on, when it comes to playoff time, is sometimes he gets too into the zone and takes everybody else out of it. You
Yeah.
still need to be able to get Ev the ball. You still need to be able to get Allen the ball. And I think that having Harden is just going to help that out. And last year, not having Darius didn't help that any more than having him in there would have been. But Harden is just a different element to being able to feed the big guys. He gets them going early, and then he ends up, sort of flowing off that from there. So that's so many reasons to be excited about this Cavs team. This playoff run is going to be a lot more fun than it was last year.
Mhm.
So Cavs fans, just be patient and be ready. Like, this isn't going to be easy. The Cavs are a 4th seed. They're not the 1 seed where we were going into and like, oh yeah, we're going to run through and then get our butts kicked by Indiana. Like, we can be the Pacers this year. Like, we can be that team, but you got to prove that you can be physical and you have to prove that you are okay gritting out games. And they've done that a lot this year. They have a lot of comebacks where they're down 10 plus, 15 plus, and come back to win. So it's not like the Cavs can't do it. They've proven that, but they have to prove it in the playoffs. And that's the biggest storyline that everybody's going to run with. So, yeah, man, I'm really excited. I don't know if you have anything else on the Cavs because I do want to jump really fast into just a tiny bit of Browns talk before we get off. But if you have any other thing on the Cavs, go for it.
Nope, I do not. Let's do it.
All right, cool. So the only Browns talk thing that I really have for you guys, it's the stupidest thing. So the Browns started voluntary workouts this week, and they are allowed to because they have a new staff, which means they are able to kind of get in a little bit quicker and a little bit sooner than other teams who are already have a well-established coaching staff. So teams that have new head coaches are all in voluntary workouts right now. Other teams will probably start to follow suit here in the next few days.
Mhm.
But the important thing to note about voluntary workouts is these are not practices. You're not installing anything. You can't. It is against their rules. The NFLPA rules. They're not installing anything. It is literally some team meetings, some bonding, and some working out, like actual weightlifting and conditioning and just camaraderie. And that's it. And for some god awful reason, there are Browns fans and media like that want to make a big deal about the fact that Miles Garrett is not there again. But he hasn't been there in like 3 or 4 years now. And we're surprised. We're upset that he's not there. Excuse me, did you have 23 sacks in a season last year? No, you didn't because you didn't play. You're not an NFL player. So quit complaining about what an NFL player who's been in this league for years now has done some of the highest level accomplishments besides winning a Super Bowl that you can have as an individual player, especially on defense, and tell him that his offseason program isn't going to get him ready for the season. He's ready every year. Like, Miles has been able to come into the last few years pretty healthy for the most part. Knock on wood because I don't want to have him get hurt. But, the point is like he does what he does. He keeps himself in game shape early on, which is what these workouts are for. And he already knows a majority of his team. Like there's no rookies yet. So there's only a few guys that have come in through free agency that are going to be on the team. But besides that, there's nobody else to really, chat with besides your staff. And you could do that, but he doesn't need to be there. I think it's the silliest topic, and I think it's just another dig that media keeps trying to have with Miles Garrett. It almost seems like that they really do want to just push him out of Cleveland. Every single week, it feels like that's exactly what they want to do. And listen, if they wanted to do that, they could have done it last year when his trade value was super high, and it's still very high after last season's NFL defensive player of the year broke a sack record. He could go for a super mega haul, but the Browns have no intention of really doing that right now. They don't sound like they do, and if they do, so be it. But the media every year never helps with keeping good quality players in Cleveland. I don't know why they get so caught up in it. They get so caught up in it. it makes following this team and doing this, what we're doing right now on a podcast, it makes doing this way more frustrating. It takes the fun out of it. The whole reason we got into this stuff is because it's fun, and it takes the fun out of it because we hear MKC, Daryl Ryder, everybody else at the fan, and ESPN Cleveland. They're all guilty of it. It's so annoying. I'm tired of it. I know I just kind of ranted a little bit there, but this has got to stop. Just leave the dude alone. He's a defensive player of the year 2 times over. Your best player in the last, I don't know, ever.
Yeah. Set the league record in sacks in a single season.
And yet you want to question why he's not there. Who cares? He's not even going to spend a lot of time with Todd Monken. He's going to spend more time with his defensive coach, which he will. But again, if they're not installing anything and they're just working out, let these guys go work out in Texas or go work out in Florida or Arizona or wherever the hell they are. Cali. I don't care. I mean, dude, literally Dylan Gabriel isn't there. Are we bitching about him? No.
Well, that's the thing. You look at all these teams, and a lot of the bigger name players don't go to these things, and you never hear their radios or media outlets complain about it. Like, oh, Josh Allen for the Bills isn't at voluntary workout or whatever. It's like, okay, cool. So what? He's down in Florida working out. Yeah. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the game. So do you really care? Why? Why should you? You know he's going to ball out. You know he's going to be in game shape. Same with Patrick Mahomes. You really think he's going to show up? Hell no. Is he going to ball out year in and year out? Of course. It doesn't matter. And if for some reason our media gets so up in arms about, well, Myles Garrett should be there. He should be a leader. And this team needs a leader. Maybe we should just, get rid of all the media in Cleveland altogether. Because it seems like no one in this city knows ball. At least in the media, landscape.
Yeah.
Because I've heard guys at the bar across the street from my apartment talk ball, and they're hammered, 18 beers deep or whatever, and they know more ball than those guys do.
Right. Exactly.
It's crazy. It makes no sense why these media members really give a shit about these guys. Your best player going to an involuntary workout. That's literally a day, nothing but meetings and a casual lift. Oh no, he's missing a casual lift. He probably does it every single day. Okay. Zach just went to Planet Fitness and got a casual lift in. And he probably had meetings at work too.
Mm-hmm.
I had meetings at work. I got in the pump a couple times here and there. So it's like, who cares? It doesn't mean anything. If he wants to watch film, he's got all the film he needs in his house.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't need to go all the way to Berea to go get film and to get a workout in. Yeah, credit to Shador Sanders for doing it, but guys like Shador and Sampson and Judkins I would expect them to.
There. Yeah, because they're only in year 2. They're still learning how to take care of their body. They're still learning strength and conditioning. Myles has been doing this shit forever now. When has he ever come into an off season and then come into the season not in literal godlike shape?
Yeah. This is going to be year 10 for Myles. Year 9 for Myles.
Yeah.
You don't think because he got drafted in 17. So yeah, it should be year 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, 9 years in the league. You led the NFL in sacks. Is one of the best defensive edge rushers that this league has ever seen. Do you really think he needs to go? Really? I don't think so. Some of these guys, a lot of these vets, I don't expect to go, no matter what team. I don't expect to go. A lot of this is for the younger guys anyways, and I'm sure guys like Monkey will tell you that. A lot of this is just for the younger players. And the players who just got drafted, the players who are in their second season, some year 3 guys, you're not going to ask a guy who's been in the league for 13 years. I know Myles hasn't been in the league for 13 years, but you're not going to ask a guy who's been in the league, like a Von Miller or something who's been in the league for 15 years. You're like, hey, I know you haven't done it since year 2, but are you going to come?
Yeah.
No, of course not. Why the hell would he? He's a vet. He's good. He doesn't need to show up. Oh
Yep.
boy, you have a 3 o'clock meeting and a 4 o'clock workout. Thumbs up, buddy.
Eh,
Like he could do that in his own time. If you want a meeting with him, call him. He'll
yeah.
answer the phone. He'll talk to you for 10 minutes. None you need to worry about. It makes no sense to me why people are so and the funny part is too about our media is like none of them have played a sport in their life. Like if you were to look down to like Grossi and all them, none of them have played a sport. Like, do you really think any of these guys have played a sport? Hell no. The only ones who have are, Tyvis Powell and Dustin Fox. Like those guys, yeah, I would listen to those guys because those guys actually played in the NFL.
Well, I mean, G. Bush has, but I don't
G.
want to hear
Bush,
him talk either.
well, G. Bush hasn't played in the NFL. He played like one season at Bowling Green. That was about it.
Yeah.
And he rides that high like he knows ball better than anyone. It's like you're literally sitting next to Dustin Fox, who's played at least like 4 seasons in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather listen to him rather than you because at least he knows all about this stuff that we're talking about, the involuntary workouts and whatnot. You don't know. You don't know. You barely got an undergrad at Bowling Green or whatever, and played
Yeah.
1 or 2 years of football, and you were barely a bench warmer.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear from you. I want to hear from the guy who actually has played
Yeah.
and has actually made it to the league, or has played for a premier Division I program like Ohio State. So I don't need to hear what G. Bush has to say. I don't need to hear what some of these other guys have to say.
Yeah.
Like you guys didn't play ball. I don't care about what you say. Like I get it. I didn't play football either. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know. Mm.
Yeah.
Like I didn't play. I played baseball in the 8th grade. I'm not gonna sit here and talk baseball like I know it all. Same with basketball. I played 2 years of basketball. I'm not gonna sit here like I know it all. Now if this was soccer, yeah, I'll talk about it all day long, and I know it all. But this is a channel of football, baseball, basketball.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna pretend like I know more than everybody else. I know my lane. I know my limit. I'm here to learn. Same thing with Shador Sanders and all these younger guys. They're here to learn.
Yeah.
Miles Garrett doesn't need to be there to learn. He done no more than anybody else in that building.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. So I
That's
mean,
like
again, this has been overblown so badly. It's been overblown so badly, and it's quite literally been a talk I think all week long. Like
yeah.
I
You are
that's
you
what
gonna
it feels
ask?
like at least.
Would you ask LeBron James to show up to an involuntary workout?
Yeah.
I don't think
Well,
so.
and what's been a breath of fresh air, and what I want to kind of end this on is the way that Todd is speaking to the media, and when they ask him about that stuff, he's very honest and very like normal. Like it's you
Yeah.
go from Kevin Stefanski, who was like PR trained, to a like robotic sense. Like
Hmm.
Stefanski is PR trained to hell. Todd Monken's not, and I love it. I love the fact that he will curse every so often, uh, in an interview. Like, yeah, I missed the head coaching picture because I was trying to get a badass haircut. Like, it's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
And when they asked him about Miles, he said, yeah, like, of course I want him to be here, but it's voluntary. Like,
It's voluntary.
you
Yeah,
know,
he doesn't have to
you
be
know,
here.
yeah, like he's a big time player. Like we know what Miles is going to be, and we know he's going to be ready. So there's no point in us, being upset about it. It's like, yeah, of course I want him to be here because I want him to be here with his team. But like that is also speaking to the type of guy that I am and how I view being a part of a team. Because he's like, I've been a part of a team for my entire life. So like I just enjoy that. Like I enjoy that stuff. But some of these guys are not quite as like I'm not gonna say Miles isn't a team player, but he's quiet. He's
Hmm.
not the most super outgoing, super loud guy. Like he's quiet. He's to himself. He just wants to prepare for the season and try to help his team win. That's all he asks for, and that's all that Browns fans ask for. I don't give a damn if he's tight with the coaches or not. I really don't. Show up and do your job. Be a be a pro, be respectful, and above all, at least play for your teammates. That's what matters to me.
Yeah.
So this getting overblown is just it's ridiculous. And again, it proves that the media only wants to talk about the Browns. They refuse to talk more than, I don't know, a fraction of their segments about the Cavs. And if they do, it's always something negative or it's do the Cavs have what it takes to get through the playoffs? It's
Yeah.
like, dude, we're at the end of the season. Let's
Chill.
just enjoy this for what it is and enjoy the fact that we have Cavs playoff basketball again post LeBron. Like
Yeah.
we often take for granted these things because of us being so used to when he was here always being in the playoffs or always being in the mix. But when he was here or when he left, it was awful. Like it was damn near just terrible. It, it was like the Wizards this year, being just the absolute worst dog shit team on the planet.
Yep.
It wasn't fun. So for us to be a part of this and have a good team, like we have a really, really good team, you would think that they would want to talk about them more, or hell, talk about the Guardians more, about the fact that they're playing well. They are playing some pretty good ball early on. They played pretty well against Seattle. They obviously won the series against the Dodgers. They won their first home series as well. I mean, they're playing some really good ball, and I'm pretty sure they're playing the Braves right now in Atlanta. So I don't know how they're doing. I haven't even looked. But
Uh, they don't play till tomorrow.
oh, okay, so they're off today, so it doesn't even
Yeah.
matter. But like again, like let's talk about teams that are actually doing well. Why are we putting and investing so much time into a team that's going to win 6 games?
Yeah. Well,
6 games this year, probably.
and the thing is, like, if you're gonna talk this heavy about the Browns, at least wait until draft time.
Ah, we got 2 more weeks before the draft. If anything, why don't we keep talking about the draft and less about voluntary workouts? These are lifts. These are actual off-season lifts. This is what high
Yeah.
schoolers do in May and June and July. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. It makes no sense, man.
It makes no sense.
Like, I'd rather do what we're doing and just talk about the Cavs and the Guardians who are in season right now and actually playing good ball.
Yeah.
Rather than spend time talking about a team that's going to get 6 wins, and it doesn't even matter at this point, and in this point in time, because again, it's April.
Yeah.
The team's not playing right now. There's no the only thing that's coming up that even matters is the draft. It's not like they're getting ready to start the season or something. That's not until August.
Yeah.
Still got 3 more months, 4 more months. Like, even the most important stuff, it's not for another 2 months, 3 months. So why are we talking about football?
Yeah.
Talk about the guards. Talk about the Cavs.
Talk about anything.
Yeah,
That's
talk about
BS.
the Masters is going on right now. Talk about the Masters. Who cares? Like I don't know. Especially the fan or whatever. They just turn strictly to Browns talk only,
Yeah.
and it's quite annoying.
It's what they do every time when they run out of things to talk about. They just
And yet
resort right back to the Cavs.
or they just and the thing is like, oh, we ran out of Brown stuff. Okay, that's the show, everybody. It's like the guards are playing,
Yeah.
and they're doing pretty well. The guards have won more baseball games in the past 2 weeks than the Browns will in the whole season.
Yeah.
I don't make no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense, and it's
annoying,
frustrating, man, and it's why you and I are both getting turned off by even listening to it because
Yep.
As much as we want to be a part of this community, be involved in sports here, in this town, it's tough. It's exhausting. It's even exhausting just to be a fan and hearing this, let alone being somebody that actually talks about this on a weekly basis and shares a lot of groups with a bunch of different folks that are also in this that love it. But we hate dealing with the constant complaining and bitching in the same topics. Be original. Like, have fun with this. But like,
They
this is
won't.
getting old. It's getting old. Yeah, man. I'm drained now. Like, I don't even want to talk anymore. So
Me either.
that is going to do it for us, guys. We will see y'all next week. We will get you all prepared for the Cavs playoffs for next week, and who knows, we might even try to squeak in a like quick mock draft or something, just because we're getting close to that. If not, we'll do it the following week because we'll probably have to record early in order for the draft, since the draft will be on a Thursday. So yeah, keep it tuned in. We're gonna be plenty busy. We're gonna have some more NFL content for you guys once the draft gets here. Obviously, stay locked in with the Cavs, and we'll keep rolling with the Guardians as they do themselves. So until then, we'll see y'all next week.